So let us enhance the functionality of this bot. So what we're going to do here is that we'll be using one of our simplistic flows and provide the bot that you can go ahead use this flow in an interaction and deliver the value of this flow, right? So we're trying to use the check service plan eligibility. So what this basically does, this flow, is that okay, it takes the case ID, record of a case ID, and then it checks if case is eligible for a service plan, right? And then if it is based on the decision, it will update the flag as to true, or it will vice versa update the flag as false, right? That's a very simplistic flow, right? So in order for us to use this, we're gonna go ahead and clone this flow. That's the standard practice. Go ahead. What I've done is that I've already cloned it just now and make so this is the check service plan eligibility clone, right? This is the cloned version of the flow, and I've already activated this. So I've just done that, and that's the reason when I go for the flows, you're not able to see the list of flows. So let me just hit refresh, and you will be able to see the cloned version of the flow, which we will be providing it to our bot, right? It's been activated. Okay, cool. So let me go back to the agent builder and to the default topic and go to the topics actions. Let me hit refresh just in case if the bot is able to pull up the cloned version of the flow. Open the agent in the agent builder, go to the topic. Under topic actions, I'll go ahead and hit new and add an action, and we will be adding our flow here. So let me select the flow, and if I hit the drop down, I can see that check service plan eligibility clone v1 is available for me. Okay, so let me select the newly activated flow. It auto populates the API name and the label. Let me select next, and here I want to say that okay, show me all the values that are output in the conversation. This is very important. I want to see like the bot has to use these values and generate a message for me. Okay, right now my bot has the power to go ahead, take a record of the case and tell me if the case is eligible for a service plan. Alright, so let me try the functionality. Go ahead into the service console and pull up any of the case record. Let me take the middle one, okay, and copy the case record ID. I want the bot to skim this case and tell me if it meets the criteria, right? Before we pass the ID, to see if the bot really understands the new action. So can you check if the case meets the criteria? So it should be able to say okay, fine, because the question is asking about leveraging a flow, and the flow needs an ID as an input, right? So that's the expectation. Let me hit C. All right, analyzing my request. Okay, cool. Please provide the case ID, because we wanted an input from the user to go ahead and parse that record and tell me if it meets the criteria. Great, so here is the case ID, and that's what I just pasted the record of the case ID, and it should run the flow. Okay, cool. So the case meets the eligibility criteria, right? So what it basically did is that it traversed that record, it executed that flow, it took the output from the flow and leveraged the large language model to say yes, it does. It didn't say true or it didn't say false, right? So that's the power of the human interaction with the bot. All right, great. So now with this, the bot is now able to use the flow. Okay, so now our agent has this power. So let me go ahead and activate the agent and see how the agent will be interacting from an end user perspective, right? So I have activated the agent. Let me hit refresh. Okay, and I have the icon to load the bot. Great. So my bot is loading from an interface perspective. I say, okay, fine. You've seen the summarized case in multiple demos, but what you want to check is that, okay, does this particular case meets the eligibility criteria? So I'm basically parsing the same query, but from an end user interface perspective. So let me copy the case ID and give it to the bot. Go ahead and help me figure out if this case meets the eligibility criteria. It should be able to do that and come back, yeah, absolutely right, meets the eligibility criteria based on whatever it is. So this is how, like, you can leverage your existing flows and make sure that your bot leverages the functionality, takes the inputs, processes it, takes the output, and then like it gives you in a much readable format. That's what which is changing the landscape of how end users interact with your flows instead of the screens and all these things. So this basically changes the whole game of how end users interact with your data, right? So I say, okay, bot, thank you very much and have rest, right? So it's been a good experience. Let me know in your comments like how easy it was for you to just sign up an org and build the agent and leverage your existing flows. Go ahead, free to like design those flows that you've been awesome at, and see how the bot uses that flow and delivers the interaction, right? Thank you, and I hope you had some awesome learning experience on Agentforce.